Ever wonder why really, really smart people sometimes make the absolute dumbest mistakes? Well, there's a reason for that, and there's a way to avoid it. That's what we're talking about today. The mental toolkit from one of the greatest thinkers of our time, Charlie Munger. I'm Eric, and we're about to unpack his wisdom to help all of us make much better decisions.
Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to talk about a huge problem in the way we think. Then, we'll dive into Munger's brilliant solution for it. After that, we'll get practical and look at a few of his best mental tools, see how to actually use them, and finally, zoom out to see how this all becomes a philosophy for a better life. Let's get into it.
All right, first things first, let's type about a major thinking trap. And I guarantee you have been in this exact situation before, probably more times than you can count.
Okay, picture this, right? You're in a big meeting. The marketing lead says, look, we just need more brand awareness. We got to boost the ad spend. Then the head engineer fires back, no. The product is too slow. Performance is everything. We have to refactor the code. And of course, the person from finance calmly says, guys, cash flow is king. We can't spend another dollar. Now here's the thing. They're all smart. They're all right in their own way. But they're not solving the real problem. They are completely talking past each other.
In that situation, that is exactly what the legendary Charlie Munger called the hammer and nail tendency. You know the saying, to a man with only a hammer, everything looks like a nail. When you're a specialist, you see every problem through your one specialized lens. It is the ultimate blind spot, and Munger basically declared war on this kind of narrow thinking his entire life.
So, who was this guy who fought so hard against one-dimensional thinking? Well, Charlie Munger was Warren Buffett's longtime partner at Berkshire Hathaway. But honestly, just calling him an investor totally misses the point. He was the ultimate generalist.
To really get Munger's approach, you have to know the old story of the fox and the hedgehog. The fox is clever. It knows a little bit about everything. The hedgehog, on the other hand, knows one big thing really, really well. Now, most people try to be one or the other, but Munger's genius was realizing you need to be both. You need the broad, fox-like knowledge to serve a single, focused, hedgehog-like purpose.
And he had this awesome name for his method, building a latticework of mental models. The idea is pretty simple, actually. You go out and you collect the most powerful, most fundamental ideas from all the big fields of study. We're talking psychology, physics, history, biology, and you weave them together in your brain. This latticework becomes your secret weapon. It lets you achieve what he called worldly wisdom, which is just the ability to see a problem from all these different angles at once.
Okay, I know what you're thinking. That sounds great, Eric, but a little abstract, right? So let's make this super practical. We're going to stock your new mental toolkit right now with 3 of Munger's most powerful, most useful models that you can start using today.
The first one is a game changer. It was probably Munger's absolute favorite, and it's called inversion. He loved to quote this one mathematician who said, all I want to know is where I'm going to die so I'll never go there. I know, it sounds a little dark, but trust me, it's pure genius.
See, most of us think forwards. We ask, how can I be a great investor? And that's a really complicated question. But Munger says to flip it on its head, invert it. Ask, what would absolutely guarantee I fail as an investor? Suddenly, the answers are dead simple. Use a ton of debt, listen to rumors and hot tips, trade in and out all the time, buy things you don't get. The key insight is this. If you just avoid all the obviously dumb stuff, you are already way ahead of the game. This works for everything, guys. Your career, your health, your relationships.
All right, model number 2 comes from a field Munger thought was a nuclear weapon for clear thinking, psychology. He believed our brains are full of these, let's call them bugs. They're mental shortcuts that maybe worked for our ancestors thousands of years ago, but in the modern world, they just cause us to make terrible decisions. So let's take a classic bug, social proof. This is just our deep down instinct to follow the herd. You know, you see a product on Amazon with 10,000 5-star reviews, and you just assume it's got to be good. Or everyone's piling into some hot new stock, and you get this massive FOMO, fear of missing out, and you want to jump in too. This bias is literally why market bubbles happen. It's an incredibly powerful force. And then there's a really sneaky one called the endowment effect. This one's subtle, but man, it's dangerous. The second you own something, your brain secretly thinks it's more valuable. Ever tried to sell your old stuff online? That dusty old gadget in your closet suddenly seems priceless, right? That's the endowment effect. For investors, this is lethal. It's why we hang on to losing stocks for way too long. It's not a stock, it's my stock. And selling it feels like admitting we failed. Just knowing this bug exists is the first step to fixing it.
Okay, our third model is an absolute cornerstone of the entire Berkshire Hathaway empire. It's called the Circle of Competence. And really, it's all about humility. It's about knowing what you know, and more importantly, knowing what you don't know. The process itself is brutally simple. Step 1, you have to draw a circle around the things you genuinely understand at an expert level. Be honest with yourself. Step 2, you stay inside that circle. That's the hard part. You make all your big decisions inside that area, and you ignore all the noise from the outside. You know, Munger and Buffett famously ignored the entire dot-com bubble in the late 90s. They just admitted, hey, we don't understand these tech companies. They looked like old fools for a few years, and then the bubble burst, and they looked like absolute geniuses. Okay, so we've got these three powerful models: inversion, knowing our psychological biases, and the circle of competence. So now, let's connect the dots. Let's see how these tools actually come together to build a real-world strategy for your money, your career, and your life.
So if you look at their investment philosophy, it's incredibly simple, almost boringly so. First, you buy good companies you actually understand. That's your circle of competence. Then, you pay a fair price for them, which means you need the patience to avoid the social proof of chasing hot trends. And finally, you hold them for the long term. It's not sexy, there's no day trading, but man, it works.
And this is just as powerful for your career. The goal Munger sets is to become a learning machine. You build your lattice work by constantly reading, especially outside of your main job. If you're an engineer, read psychology. If you're in marketing, read a biography. Then you take those ideas and you apply them to your own work. Your biggest advantage in your career isn't just what you know, it's how you think.
And finally, let's just zoom all the way out. Because this isn't just about getting rich or getting a promotion. At its heart, Munger's wisdom is a complete philosophy for living a more rational, a more successful, and honestly, a happier life.
And it really all comes down to this single quote: to get what you want, you have to deserve what you want. Think about that. In a world that's obsessed with shortcuts and life hacks, Munger's idea is totally old school. He's saying, stop trying to find the trick to getting success. Instead, focus on becoming the kind of person who deserves success. You want people to trust you? Be trustworthy. You want to find a great partner? Be a great partner. It's about attracting the life you want, not chasing it.
So let's wrap this all up. What are the big takeaways? First, we have to escape that hammer and nail trap of only seeing the world from one perspective. We do that by building our own lattice work of mental models. You can start with powerful tools like inversion to avoid stupid mistakes and the circle of competence to play to your strengths. And the foundation for all of it is this idea of earning the life you want by becoming the person who deserves it.
And that's about it for today. I want to leave you with a final question to think about this week. What is the very first mental model, that one big idea from a totally different field that you are going to add to your personal toolkit?
Hey, if you found this explainer useful, do me a huge favor and hit all three buttons for me. Like, subscribe, and share it with someone you think would enjoy it. And please, let us know in the comments what book or big idea you'd like us to break down next. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Eric, and I'll catch you in the next one.